Today's daf is daf tzaddik zayin. We're going to begin with tzaddik vav and beis by the Mishnah. Gozel behema v'yiskinai. If one robbed another of an animal, and it aged while in his possession, so now it diminished its value. Avodim v'yiskinu, or if a person robbed another eved kanani, and they aged while in his possession, so they have been changed. So nevertheless, Mishalim Kashas Zela, the robber therefore pays according to the value of the stolen item at the time of the robbery. Meir says, with regards to Kanani slaves, he says to the robbery victim, that which is yours is before you. If one robbed another of a coin, and it cracked, thereby reducing its value, or if a person robbed another of peiros, of produce near kibui, and it rotted, or if a person stole another, either yayin, wine, and it became vinegar, mishalim kashas hagzela, he pays according to the value of the stolen item at the time of the robbery. If a person robbed another of a coin, and it became possible by the government, truma v'nitmis, or he robbed another of truma, and it became tamei, chometz, or of pesach, he robbed another of chametz, of leavened bread. The chametz elapsed over it, and therefore it's also to derive benefit from it. We robbed another of an animal, and a sin was performed with it, disqualifying it from use for a korban. Or if the animal was disqualified from being sacrificed upon the mizbeach for some other reason, or if the animal was going out to be stoned because it caught and killed a person at some point. After the robber, the robber says to the robbery victim, that which is yours is before you. In all these cases, although the value of the stolen item has been diminished or altogether lost, since the change is not externally discernible, the robber returns the item in its current state. Now, with regards to the Mishnah statement that one who robs another of an animal that aged pays its value at the time of the robbery, it's not that it aged means, when it says aged, it doesn't mean it actually aged. Even if the animal was weakened, which is less significant change, is still considered change, and the robber has acquired the animal. But we learned that an age indicating that a lesser change, weakening, is not significant. The Papa is speaking, weakening like his aged. The bardi means that the animal became so weak that it will not return to its former health. He says, this is what they say in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, even if one stole a lamb, and it became a ram, a calf, and it became an ox, it's considered that a change occurred while the animal was in the robber's possession, and he has acquired it due to the change. If he shafted or sold the animal, he shafted his own animal, and he sells his own animal, and he does not become chayiv to pay the penalty of dalad v'hei, the value of the animal. Later, Rashi said to him, Lava min aloch. Did I not say to you, like Taslef Gavri, do not exchange the names of the men in whose name you are transmitting words of Teda? That statement was said in the name of Rabbi Loi, not in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Meir says, with regards to Eved Kanani, says to the robbery victim, that which is yours is before you. Says the Allah is in accordance to the opinion of a mayor. Rav set aside the opinion of the Chachamim, who are the majority in practice according to the mayor. Amri, the Chacham say, Mishum de Braisa Ibchatanya, because it's taught in the Braisa in the opposite manner. The opinions are reversed. So that the Chachamim, rather than a mayor, hold that with regard to slaves, the robber says, that which is yours is before you. Rav set aside the Mishnah and practiced halacha according to the statement of the Braisa. Where answers Rav also teaches the Mishnah in the opposite manner. My time the Rav the Afach Mastisa Mekame the Braisa. Now, what is the reason of Rav who reversed the opinion of the Mishnah in light of the Braisa? Adrabah, on the contrary, neifach lebraisa mekamei masnisa. Let him reverse the opinion of the Brisa in light of the Mishnah. Amri, the Chacham saying in response, Rab nam masnisa nibchut asliu. Rav also learned in the Mishnah the opposite matter. Rav did not decide to reverse the opinion of the Mishnah. In the text of the Mishnah, that he utilized the opinions were the same as the Brisa. By saying, if you want to say, instead that Rav did in fact decide to reverse the opinion of the Mishnah, when he does not reverse, one in light of one brisa. But he would reverse one Mishnah in light of two brisas. Ofik he would. Tanya, second brisa was taught in the Tosefta, Bava Kamah, one who exchanges a cow for a donkey, the Yolda, and now the cow gave birth. The case of one who sells a Canaan maidservant, and in the meantime she gave birth. If in either of these cases, the purchaser and the seller have a machlekes as to when the birth took place, but this one says she gave birth at the time when she was in my possession, and the other one is silent, then the one who stated something is that she gave birth while in the possession, has acquired her offspring. If this one says, I do not know, but then the halacha is, they divide the value of the offspring. Rise continues, this one says she gave birth while in my position, and this one says she gave birth in my position. The seller must take an oath that she gave birth while in his possession. Because anybody who takes an oath that is enumerated in the Teda takes an oath and does not pay. This is the words of Ramir. In this case, since the seller initially had possession of the animal of the maidservant, he is considered the defendant, and therefore it's sufficient for him to take an oath, exempt himself from paying and maintain possession of the offspring. Rice continues, one does not take an oath concerning either Canaan slaves or concerning land. This indicates that according to the opinion of the rabbis, Canaan slaves have the legal status of land, whereas according to the opinion of the mayor, they do not. So it follows that in the Mishnah here as well, the Chachamim and not a mayor who maintain that with regards to Avadim, one says that which is yours is before you, and one is not regarded, as one is with regard to land. Whereas, if it's true that the opinion of the Mishnah is Rameir, to Rameir was attributed by Rav and the Chacham to the Chachamim, high halacha can Rameir. So instead of saying that halacha is like Rameir, halacha Rabbanim Meir. Rav should have said that halacha is in accordance to the opinion of the Chachamim. Where it says, where this is what it says, Laman Dav Chisu V'Tanino, according to the way that you have reversed the opinions of the Mishnah, that you taught that Rameir says the robber says to the robber victim, that which is yours is before you, halacha Rameir, according to Rameir. Despite the fact that according to Rav, this is the opinion of the rabbis. And we are aware of Avda to Mekakadam, and the Rav actually say that the legal status of the Canaan slave is like real estate. Says that a person who seizes another Eved Kanani and performs malacha with him is exempt from paying the master the labor of the slave. And if you say the Rav's opinion that the legal status of a slave is like a real estate, why is he exempt from paying? A slave, like real estate, is always in the possession of the owner, wherever he might be. Therefore, the one who seized him did not steal the slave. In which case, you can simply return it. Rather, he made use of a slave belonging to another, and it should be chayav to pay for the master's loss of the slave's labor. Whereas we're dealing with over here, we're dealing with a case where the one who seized the slave forced him to earn the labor. It's not during regular working hours. He did not prevent the slave from performing labor for his master. Since the owner did not incur any loss, the who sees the slave is not obligated to pay for the benefit that he derived from the slave. This is like the message that Rav Abba sent to Rav Barmar. They asked one who resides in another courtyard without the owner's knowledge. Does he need to pay him rent, or does he not need to pay him rent? And they sent him a response: he does not need to pay him rent, since the owner of the property did not incur any monetary loss. How can these cases be compared? Granted, they are the case of the Chotzer, whether the reasoning of the Allah is according to the one who says an inhabited house remains habitable, and therefore satisfactory for the owner of the property to have someone residing in the courtyard. And whether, according to the opinion who holds that, and the gate is smiting to ruin, which indicates that a desolate house will fall into ruin, and the habit of the house will be maintained. Either way, it's satisfactory for the owner that one stay in his courtyard. The one who resides there need not pay rent. But in the case of a slave, is it satisfactory for him that a slave be weakened by performing labor for another? Or the Chazal say, indeed. It's satisfactory for him that the work habits of the slave not be undone. The word now records in Maisa. Yosef bar Chama have a Topkiv Avdi Nishi Damask Mezuzah. The household of Yosef bar Chama, members of the house of Rabbi Yosef, his approval seized the slaves of people who owed him money. Over the Malacha, and they would work them against the will of the owners. Over the Rabbi, son of Rabbi Yosef, said to him, why are you doing this? Well, he said, he says, Master, what is the reason Master does this? Seizes and uses a slave. So he says, Rafman says, a slave is not worth even the bread of his stomach, for the slaves work for me and eat in my home. I'm not causing the owner any monetary loss. Rabbi Yosef said to him, I said, Rafman said this with regards to specific slaves, such as the slaves of Daru. They may not be kuvat, who only dances amongst the wine barrels and does not perform any malacha. All other slaves perform labor, and their labor is worth more than their board. So he said to him, I hold the of Daniel, the owner of Daniel bar Katina. One who seizes another slave and performs labor with him is exempt from paying the master for the labor of the slave. Satisfactory for the master, abdi, that the work habits of a slave not be undone. Rabbi said to him, Staying over the Nil applies when the one who seizes a slave is not owed money by the owner of the slave. But since the master, keeping the master was since the master is owed money by the owner of the slave, it has the appearance of ribis. Even though the Chacham say that one who resides in another courtyard without his knowledge does not need to pay him rent, if one lends money to another and then reside in the courtyard of another, of the creditor, so he has to pay him rent to avoid looking like bibis. So he said, I retract my opinion, I will no longer seize the slaves for my chayv. Itmar was stated, in case of one who seizes another ship and performs malacha with it, what payment can the ship owner claim? Rav says, he may choose. If he wishes, he can take the ship, the cost of the ship's rent. Ratza, if he wishes, take the amount by which the value of the ship was diminished by being used to the labor, whichever amount is larger. Shmuel says he can take only the amount by which the value of the ship is diminished. Rabbi says, they do not disagree. They were addressing different cases. Rav's statement is referring to a ship that is commonly available for rental. The Shmuel's statement is referring to a ship that is not commonly available for rental. I could tell you, this and that statement are both referring to a ship that is commonly available for rental. Rav's statement is referring to a case where the one who seized the ship descended, in other words, took possession with the intention of renting the ship, so he pays for the rental. A Shmuel statement is referring to a case where the one who seized the ship descended with the intention of robbery to use it without paying. He is regarded as a robber and pays only the amount by which the value was diminished. The Mishnah teaches, if one robbed another of a coin and cracked it, he pays the value of the coin at the time of the robbery, as he has acquired it due to change. If the coin was invalidated, he says, that which is yours is before you. Since this is not a significant change, he has not acquired it. The Ham disagree with regard to this explanation of Allah. Amr Rav Huna says, Nistat, when the Mishnah says the coin cracked, it means Nistak Mamash, it actually cracked. And Nifsal, when it says it was invalidated, Salati Malchus, it means it was invalidated by the government, and therefore unfit for use. Yudah says, Salte Malchus Domi. A coin invalidated by the government is the same as the coin that is cracked. Haini Nistak, because it's a complete loss of value as a significant change. What are the circumstances of the Mishnah where the coin was invalidated? Is not considered change. It's a case where a coin invalidated by the government of the province, and the residents there can no longer use it. And the coin still circulates and is in use from another province. So he says, according to your opinion, says that the term invalidated means that the coin was invalidated by the government. But we learned in the Mishnah, if a person robbed another of produce and it rotted, or one who robbed another of wine and it fermented, which are similar to a coin that was invalidated by the government, since none of them can be used, and the Mishnah teaches that the robber pays according to the value of the time of the robbery, because it underwent the change. Why would the halacha be different in the case of a coin that was invalidated by the government? In the case of the produce and wine, it tasted and smells change. In the case of the coin that was invalidated, the coin itself did not change. According to you, says the Psalm must tell me, who says, according to your opinion, they said that a coin was invalidated by the government is the same as the one who cracked it. In the case of the Mishnah, one who robbed another Truman became impure, which is similar to a coin that was invalidated by the government. And the Mishnah teaches that the robber says to the robber victim, that which is yours is before you. Or said to him, case of truma, the damage is not evident, since it's impossible to tell the difference between pure and impure items. Here, in the case of the coin, minkar hezekai, the damage is evident, since one can tell by looking at it that is a type of coin that was invalid. Now, with regard to the coin that was invalid, it's where we learned. One who lends money to another on the condition that he pays the loan using a particular kind of coin. And if and the coin became invalid, Rav says, the Levit gives a coin that is in circulation at the time when he repays the loan. Shmuel says that the Malva can say to the creditor, I'm giving you a coin like you gave me, although you cannot utilize it. Go spend it in a mission. This displays where the coin is still in circulation. Our Nachum established the Milsa de Shmuel makes sense what Shmuel is saying. It's the Urch Lamezil mission. Coin has to go to mission. He intends to travel there. Therefore, the Levit can tell him spend the coin when he arrives at that destination. It's the Urch Lamezil mission. Now, less the Urcha, but if he has no money to go to mission, he does not need to go there. The Levit may not give him the coins. Rather, he must give him coins that is in our circulation in their current location. Rabbi raised an objection from Nachman from a brisa. In Mechal al Moshe Yitzis, one cannot desecrate my Shasheni produce by transferring the kedusha onto coins that are not in circulation. Ketzad also highly most koizobes Yerushalayim. One had coins of Bar Koizos, coins of Yerushalayim, or Yisham Lacham Rishenu, or coins of earlier kings, all which are no longer in use. In Mechal, one cannot desecrate. But if one had coins of later kings that are similar to the coins of earlier kings that have been invalid in this location, one can be mechal. Nachman said to him, what are we talking about? Dealing with a case where the kingdoms are not particular with one another. They allow a coin that has been invalidated in their province to be taken out of their border and spend in the province where it is valid. Since these coins can be given to those planning to travel to a location where it's valid, it's considered to be a valid coin even in locations that one who was machal the meistership. But according to the explanation, when Shmuel said that the Levit can repay his chayav with invalidated coins only if the creditor intends to travel to the locations that are valid, when they are ma'abid. How can he bring these coins to Mishnah without the authorities confiscating it? He brings it with difficulty. Where the authorities are not bakshi, they're not searching. But if they find any invalidated cup to their particular, therefore possible to bring these coins into other kingdoms. Nevertheless, since the authorities are particular, when one does not plan to travel there, he will not be able to exchange these coins with anyone in this location. Tashma, come and hear from that was a rise said. In Mechal al-Mais, Shokan Mashin Shabbat, one cannot Mechal al-Mais Risheni produce by transferring its sanctity onto money to salt here. And when the coins and their owner are in bubble. And one cannot do on money of bubble when the coins and their owners are here in Eretz Yisrael. If one uses money of bubble and they're in bubble, then one can be Mechal the Meister Sheni. Telling me, yes, what do we learn? In Mechal and Moishel cover in bubble. What cannot do mechalo onto money Eretz Yisrael here when they are in Bava? Afal Gav, the Sefer the Mesic Lasim, even though they will ultimately descend to their Eretz Yisrael, as the very purpose of transferring the sanctity of the coins is to spend them in Yerushalayim. So where it says, "Oh, my skin, what are we doing with here?" Where the kingdoms are especially particular to one another, and it's impossible to transport coins from one location to another. We're asked if so, Babylon is what are these coins fit? They are fit for purchasing animals with them in Bava and to be brought to Yerushalayim. Now, with regards to the statement of the Brisa, the one cannot be mechawal unless sheni produce by transferring the sanctity onto Bava money when in Eretz Yisrael. We're asked about tithing, but through the Brisa, skinny shammai says Yerushalayim bekach. The Chum instituted all money shall circulate in Yerushalayim because of this reason, so that the Jews on all occasions will be able to use their local currencies. When the Eden are rulings, then they can enforce it. But the Brisa states that sanctity may not be transferred to Bavos when Eretz Yisrael is referring to a time when the authority of the nations of the world dominated over Eden, at which time foreign currency was not usable in Yerushalayim. Having mentioned the coins of Yerushalayim, what is the coin of ancient Yerushalayim? The names of Dav and Nishtem were inscribed on one side, and Yerushalayim, the holy city, was on the other side. And what is the coin of Avram Avinu? An old man and an old woman representing Avram and Sarah was inscribed on one side, and a young man and a young woman representing Yitzchak and Rivka on the other side. We'll stop here.